Yeah. This is Lady Mogul Talk, talking about black excellence. Ladies building legacies, fostering communities. There'll be topics to grow with dynamic heroes. Time to secure the bag, elevate your goals, yeah. If you gotta grind, go ahead and take some time. Free your mind, leave your worries behind. Expand your possibilities while learning new strategies. Every time with Avery, knowledge will be guaranteed on Lady Mogul Talk.
Welcome back to another segment of Lady Mogul Talk. And today I have a very special guest, and I cannot wait to dig into today's conversation. So let's read a little bit about Attorney Amber Saunders. She is a highly regarded attorney whose mission is to enhance the lives of families by securing their futures, tomorrows, and it took a personal loss to underscore the importance of estate and business planning. Since that point, she has tirelessly dedicated herself to this cause, using her expertise in business and estate planning to help families realize their financial goals. Saunders holds a degree from the prominent John Marshall Law School in Atlanta, Georgia, and after graduating in 2009, she amassed credentials that have helped her excel as an attorney, and her notable accomplishments include serving as a judicial assistant to Honorable Judge Penny Brown Reynolds, who is on the State Court of Fulton County, and she has received the Advocacy Award for her work with the Moot Court, and served as a Dean's Fellow for her legal writing skills, and served on both local and regional board for the Black Law Students Association. So accomplished. She is also the author of Ahead of the Curve: What Parents Need to Know to Get Their Kids into College. And in 2013, she founded the Saunders Firm, representing high net worth families and businesses in various personal and business matters before becoming a founding partner of Nualo, hope I said that right, and Saunders. Currently, she is the principal of the Saunders Firm, a law practice specializing in providing a new approach to estate planning that incorporates tax succession, business, estate, and intellectual property. So we have a very impressive guest today, and I can't wait to welcome her to the stage.
Hey,
Hello.
how are you?
Well, yourself. It's great to have you.
Doing well, thank you. I got to shorten that bio. That's too much to
Well,
read.
I looked at it earlier and I was like, no, we need to talk all of it because it's so impressive.
Thank you. Fine.
So I want to start off the conversation by asking what initially sparked your interest in law?
Well, I don't even know. So my mother said I told her I wanted to be a lawyer when I was like in kindergarten. So her favorite show was Perry Mason and mine was Law and Order. So I'm assuming that between those two, I got the idea to be a lawyer.
That's so funny. And I, growing up, even though it was definitely not my generation, I watched Perry Mason and I would always read John Grisham books. So maybe I'm an honorary attorney, would never
There you
practice,
go.
but I love, like, I'm always drawn to law TV shows. So that's so funny that you mentioned that.
Favorite show.
So I know starting a business, especially your own law firm practice, comes with its own set of challenges. So can you describe some obstacles that might have been in the way, especially as a Black woman attorney? I'm sure that presents its own set of special circumstances. So what were some of those obstacles and how did you overcome that?
Ooh, okay. So I would say I never really, when I came out of law school, I started working for myself immediately. So if I would do anything differently, I probably would work at another firm first just to get the experience of how a law firm is supposed to operate, run, how to manage staff, all of those systems, because I just didn't know because I didn't work anywhere. I hadn't seen it. So I was making things up on my own as I was going, trying to figure it out, things like that. So that was definitely a challenge, just learning how to manage people and get those processes together because there's, certain requirements professional requirements that are placed on us as attorneys with bookkeeping and different things like that, that, if you don't know those things because you haven't seen them, it can be difficult to try and figure those things out. And also, I'd say not necessarily having distance, but figuring out the best way to manage your client relationships, because I used to give out my cell phone number and then people texting me, calling me all hours of the night. And it's like, wait now, we're not buddies. You got to call me from 9 to 5 on Monday or something like that. And it was, blurring the lines, people just not being clear, calling about just, I got a parking ticket. I'm like, I don't do that kind of stuff. So just trying to figure out how to manage that so that I can have some, I don't necessarily believe in work-life balance because I don't have it, but just getting, making sure that there are clear boundaries. I wasn't good at those at all before.
So many things to talk about with that statement there, because it's just very spot on. I love how you said that you wish you had gone to a firm first. Some of us are so quick to say we must work for ourselves. We must work for ourselves. And it's great. Yes, we do. But we can always utilize our previous careers to translate into our firm. And so I love that you mentioned that you, if you had to do it over, you would go to a firm. And it's not to say that you wouldn't end up where you are now, but you would have had maybe made some of those mistakes quicker in that firm, and then you could have a smoother transition from life after law school. So I love that. And then boundaries. Oh my goodness, yes. So I was like you. I gave out my number and I'll be like, oh Lord, here they go texting me again. And it's not that we don't love our clients, it's that we have a life outside of our business. And sometimes we take it upon ourselves to solve all the world's problems when we need to sometimes just stay in our world and replenish ourselves. So if boundaries are so important. And then the last point you touched on about client relationship management. We have all been there. Me too. As much as I say, yes, I helped build CRM systems and processes and everything, that is not where I started. And I often talk about my mistakes. So I love how you've just been transparent from the get-go about some of those obstacles, because it really does impact the way business comes about. So moving further along the vein of law firm, of your practice. So you deal with estate and business planning. What trends do you see maybe that are coming forward? And then I know the importance of it, but why should we think about this type of topic when it comes to our planning?
Um, hmm. Because unfortunately, this isn't something that Black people talk about. We don't even like saying death. We'll say somebody went over yonder, they transitioned. We use every word except somebody passed away. Like, we just don't like talking about it. I think all of us probably have a grandparent or somebody who's like, oh, it's going to be fine. Or they think that you're going to kill them if you're talking about you need a power of attorney because they're older or things like that. And so then you see the ugly, if you ask any lawyer, criminal law is hard, all of those things, but you see the ugliest in people when someone's getting a divorce and when someone dies. Family members who didn't even ever see someone will come trying to claim something in the house, or such and such said that I was supposed to get this. And if people just handled whatever they had with intention, it would make it easier after they're gone. I started doing estate planning because of my family. So my grandmother was the only person I know who did anything like that. I didn't even know it was called that through the process. And so my grandmother would meet with her girlfriends on Sunday and they would pick stocks. And my grandmother had long-term care insurance. She had life insurance. She gave my mother and my uncle the house, but gave herself and my grandfather a life estate so no one could ever kick them out. She took care of all of these things, and my grandfather did not do that when my grandmother did. So when my grandfather passed, all of these people started asking for stuff, messing with stuff in the account, even though my grandmother's name was on it, all sorts of things. And my grandmother had dementia. Mm-hmm. It made it really easy for my mother and my uncle to take care of her because she had taken care of it. So the nurse who took care of my grandmother took care of all the people in the house. Just because my grandmother did very simple things. And because of this house that was my grandmother's house, then my mother and my uncle's, that was originally my great grandmother's house, my mother's able to retire. That house had no mortgage on it, none of those things that would encumber it in any way. And Most people will say, oh, I don't have a lot of money. I just have a house. I just have a this. I'm sure that my great grandmother didn't think that her house being passed down would help her grandchild be able to retire, because my mother helped pay for school for me. So she didn't have any retirement. All of that, everything that she had went to my schooling. So my great grandmother's house, her grandmother's house being sold after everyone passed away was what it has enabled my mother to do what she does. And so it's just little things making it better for the ones who are after us. All of us have something that's worth preserving or worth passing down. We just don't want to take the time to do it because it makes us uncomfortable talking about death, but we really can close the wealth gap, make things easier if we are a little bit more intentional about how we lead this life as well.
Very good point. It reminds me of the quote my mom always says, that each generation is supposed to be better than the last. And that is just a testament to what is possible. And as you said, your great great grandmother might not have even imagined the legacy that she was leaving, but it impacted the trajectory of so many things. And then look at you now, being influenced by previous steps. And so it's very important for us to be strategic in all areas of our life, even if we don't want to talk about it. Because I admit, as a daughter of an aging parent, it's not easy to see that, but it is important to have those conversations. So you've inspired me too. So I want to talk about building relationships with clients. So I know and you already alluded to this earlier, it's of course a crucial part of your work. So what strategies do you use to ensure trust and satisfaction, especially with the sensitivity of your field sometimes?
For me, it's just being a human first. Like, I just don't, lawyers can, I think when you go to law school, when you start practicing, you don't, they teach us not to be too involved with clients, but I'm talking about people's business.
Mm-hmm.
So I treat them like people. I talk to them like they're people. I say, you sure your kids gonna get along after you're not here? Like, let's talk about like real honest things. And to make sure that, if they're gone, it's not tearing the family apart. And so I think remembering that people are human first is the first thing for me. And then just being clear in communication. My clients tell me all sorts of things, but that's because I'm sharing first. So I'll tell them, like, I've seen my family act crazy, and I've seen other people's families act crazy. So let's just assume, it's the same as with a business relationship. While everybody's getting along, let's lay out the plan right now before anything else happens. And then it's easier. Everyone knows what's expected. Everyone knows what's supposed to happen. And even if they might not like it, they're not necessarily going to disobey when it's been clearly, or you leave little room for them to be able to do that. And so I think my clients have now become like family. Like, I get pictures when people's babies are born and all of those things, because I've helped walk them through something that's not an easy thing to talk about. But I don't do it in a way. I just remember how sensitive it is, and how important it is, and just trying to treat them like people as opposed to a transaction. So it makes it easier to get through the process. Everybody in the office knows this isn't easy. So if it takes them a little longer to get us the information, let's see why. Let's talk to them about what they're feeling going through this. We really end up being like counselors at law. We're talking about, why is this difficult? What's the hard part? Let's get through it. So I think that's what kind of sets us apart and makes it so easy for us to develop really good relationships with the clients, but at the same time, trying to navigate those boundaries as we do it.
Right. And that brings me, there was something you said earlier about work-life balance. That's what I wanted to touch on. And I also don't believe in work-life balance. I believe in maybe more so work-life harmony, where you are able to prioritize. And that does come back to those boundaries, because the way I see balance is like you're trying to juggle like a balancing scale, and you really just want to have that prioritization of what's important and have that human touch. And so that's very good, because even as much as I preach about automation, you still want to have that human touch, because it's not just transactional, as you said, so that was the gym, in case you all didn't catch it. Now, reflecting on your journey, what are some of the most rewarding accomplishments that you've had? And when I read about Judge Penny Brown Reynolds, I was like, oh my goodness, she's amazing as a person.
Mhm. Um, I think I don't know that I even have one in particular. I really like that. I'm really proud of the fact that my clients call, their children's call, their children's children call. Like I've been practicing probably 11 years. I've had a couple clients pass away and their children call to ask for things and to have us work on whatever they have going on with their business or to set up an estate plan for them. And so I'm very proud of the fact that they trust me, their children trust us. They're going to call us even if it's something that we can't handle. They consider us their personal family lawyer. So they'll call us, and then whatever recommendation we make, that's who they're going to go with. I'll find someone for them if they're going through a divorce. We'll help them figure out the solution to the problem. And so that makes me feel really good because I know people who do one transaction with their lawyer and they're gone. I don't even go to bar events, to be honest, because I find lawyers to be a little cold. And I'm like, well, I'm not like that. I don't want to go to that. But, sometimes they are like, it just teaches you to be that way sometimes. And that's no fun. So I am proud of the fact that I still am relatable as a human, and our clients want to invite us to things and tell us what's going on and have us be a part of their lives for more than one generation.
And that goes back to what you said when we were talking about building relationships. Because you don't focus on the transactional and you build those relationships, they trust you and they want to come back. So that is a strategy that we should all internalize because, yes, of course, we want the money, of course, but when we're living in our purpose, it doesn't feel like work, basically.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now, you in your bio, I read about your book that you authored, Ahead of the Curve. Now, what inspired you to write this book about how to get your kids into college?
So after I finished law school, I was a little burnt out. I did not take the bar immediately. I went and when I was in high school, I didn't do that great on the ACT the first time. And my homeroom teacher, I'm from Atlanta, so my homeroom teacher who was here, her son took it. And she got in touch with me and was like, Amber, can you tutor my son? I remember you did really well. So then I started working with him. He did well. He got a scholarship to school. Then the other kids in the next class asked. And so it turned into a business that I wasn't prepared for it to turn into. So it ended up I finished school in 2009, but I didn't take the bar till 2013 because I was working on other things. So through that process, I ended up, a friend of mine who had a book told Peterson's what I was doing, and we submitted a book proposal and they liked it. And so we ended up writing a book, which was almost more difficult than the bar. And so we did that, and then it came out, I can't, probably 2014 or something like that. And then after that, I started practicing again. So I ended up letting go of the business. But at that time, I was doing test prep for middle school and high school students.
Well, definitely could have used you like years and years ago because what did I do? I think I just did enough just to pass, even though I haven't done so bad. So since
Yeah.
definitely could have done better.
Hard. They can be very difficult. People have anxiety around them, and it's not necessarily the material. It's like you have to do all this stuff in such a short amount of time, and unless you practice and know how to strategize around it, it can be hard.
Yeah, definitely. And then when it was time to do the masters, I was like, oh Lord, another test.
Right.
I made it.
Way around it, Lord, please.
Right. And so that's why that things like this is so important because we're pouring into the next generation. And I just am amazed like that you were able to do this because no, I can't. You have a gift, okay?
It was just practice. Just practice.
Now, if you could go back to the start of your career and give yourself advice, what would that be besides the law firm practice of going there?
I would have learned boundaries sooner, and I would have learned, and it's not like the lesson didn't come. I feel like you get the same lesson over and over again until you figure it out,
Mhm.
that you can't save everybody, whether it be employees, whether it be friends, whether it be coworkers, whether it be whatever. And the idea, like now I'm of the belief that when I volunteer and try and solve someone else's problem and they haven't asked, then I'm like, it's almost disrespectful. I'm assuming that they don't know how to solve their own problem. I am not empowering them to be able to handle things for themselves because I think I know better. I think I know how to help. I
Mhm.
think I can do these things. And it's just respecting people enough to let them figure their things out. If they ask you for help, awesome. Then you can offer whatever you want to offer. But I just used to try, I would run myself ragged trying to help every single person with every single problem. And to my own detriment sometimes,
Mhm.
whether it be in work, all the clients who didn't ask me for stuff, but I was doing extra ended up being the biggest problems. And it was like, see, you knew you ain't had no business doing in the first place. So now I think I got that lesson down. But I would long time ago, I would have just figured out boundaries in for myself. Just don't overextend, don't do too much if
Mhm.
this is not a part of what you're supposed to be doing. Nobody asked you.
Ooh, you are preaching to the choir because I remember me overextending myself as well. And then sometimes you get taken advantage of or taken for granted or not appreciated. And it reminds me of the quote that I saw on Instagram a few weeks ago. It's okay. You don't have to be a nice person. You can be a good person, but you don't have to be, so to speak, nice where you're getting taken for granted and taken advantage of.
Mm-hmm.
So it goes back to what you said about boundaries and knowing your limit because people will drain you and not even care and take what you have
Keep taking and keep taking and keep taking.
until you put your foot down.
Yeah.
And eventually, if you keep on that trajectory, it changes you and
Mm-hmm.
who you are. So, very good point. Now, I have, of course, we know we've talked about your bio, we've talked about your accomplishments, and I know that you have some things up your sleeve. So, what, if you can share, what is next for you and what are you most excited about?
Oh, I'm excited about how the firm is growing. I love my team; they're amazing. We do monthly events that we're going to start trying to grow a little bit more. Um, Women who win, we try and have different speakers come to just women like to, we're the ones who make the decisions often in the household and anything. And so just pouring into us because sometimes the reputation is we don't necessarily help one another, things like that, and just trying to find ways for people to network, but in a more authentic way that it's not like, well, what do you do? What do you do? What do you do? Like, how can I help you? We try and have women just connect with people and actually do business with each other, things like that. Um, do some more speaking engagement. We're supposed to be participating in the Jack and Jill conference to talk to moms about estate planning and some other things like that. So just to I am with for some people it's morbid, but I'm preaching the gospel of, estate planning because I believe that while everyone is talking about generational wealth, it doesn't matter if we don't pass it down the right way. And so in those conversations about wealth building, we have to talk about how you transition it the right way. So getting out there a little bit more just to educate the community on ways that they can do that, that are cost effective and that they can make sure that they can protect all that they built.
Amazing. And this is the perfect segue to talk about how we can keep up with you and any services that you offer, even though we've alluded to it, but how they can take that next step with you.
Awesome. Thank you. So I'm on Instagram at Ask Amber Saunders. You can find me on Facebook. It's always Amber C because apparently there's some other Ambers. There are other people with my name, so I always use my middle initial. Um, on LinkedIn, our website is thesaundersfirm.com. And then we have some free webinars online. Like there's one just if you want to get the basics of estate planning on the website. If you go to the free resources, you'll be able to go register for that and see that. And then on our events page, you'll be able to see any of our monthly events, things like that. And then just call our office 678-680-4336 if you need a consultation to try and figure it out. Our planning sessions are free. We try and give you as much information as possible. If you can move forward, awesome. If you can't, then I just put some good karma out there. Great. Because I think Again, I think it's really important. So I just want to make sure that as many of us as possible are getting some of this done.
So be sure to follow Attorney Amber Saunders. And I'm also in the Atlanta area, so I'm checking out those events because they sound amazing. So I hope to see you soon. And as we end this segment, are there any final words of advice you want to share?
Yes, I would say the same way you plan for a vacation, the same way you plan for a career is the same way you should plan for what happens if you are not here. People love you, people will miss you. You don't want them to have to figure out how to handle your business if you're gone. Your estate plan is the last love letter you get to write to the people that you love. So make sure that it is really a good one and that you're taking care of them.
Wow, that's a beautiful way to describe it. I have to marinate on that. There was something else you mentioned that I will definitely be taking away because I love the way you explained it. And it's something you can hear something so many times, but it might take that right person to explain it a different way for you to finally click. So I really hope that's what happened here today for our watchers. Well, thank you, Attorney Amber Saunders, for joining us here on Lady Mogul Talk. And we will see everyone in the next segment. Bye.